That was Phil Gray from Montreal, and there he is.
Hey,
There he is. He's alive. He's well. He's what do you got on today? What is the hat? What do I see on your head there? It's a little dark.
Stanley Cup champs.
LA Kings. Now he's a Kings fan, man.
Well, I hear they're going to expand the rosters for this hub tournament. So I'm in training, and Shani, if you're listening, I'm open for a PTO at any time. I'm ready.
A PTO now.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, but then why are you wearing a Kings hat then?
Well, because I got to feel like I'm in the NHL. It's
most people say that too. They really
all
do.
about association.
There's a lot of talk. That Phil Gray. It seems like he's in the NHL.
Right. Everybody needs a goon.
Right? Yeah.
That's true.
You know what? I'll give you $87 if you go out on the ice and I don't care who it is, a goalie, whatever it is, you just drop him, you go. I mean,
yeah. No, I loved Billy Smith. I mean, he played hockey the way it was supposed to be played. Absolutely. Right?
Well, see, okay. This is a true story. So I watched it, and that was not because I played like a kid, right? I didn't do that stuff. So my first junior camp, I'm 14. I just come back from Eugene, Oregon. I go to Pickering, and ironically, run into Mike Keenan. He's my first summer coach, and from that time on, he really liked how I played. My first couple of junior camps. So the Pickering Panthers. So their goalies at the time, a couple years younger, but it's Glenn Healy. So I'm in the last day, and my dad, who's a longtime coach, but not a hockey guy. He never was a hockey he's a great collegiate coach, but hockey wasn't quite his thing. So Mike Keenan comes out to him and he said, "Look, your son, he's one of the best athletes we have in camp, and he's a great little goalie, but he plays like a kid." And so my dad said, "Well, what do you mean?" He goes, "Well, he doesn't clear his crease. He doesn't." And so all my time is that Billy Smith. He shouldn't be doing that. When it counted for me, when I wanted to do stuff, because I didn't do that, it kind of hurt my chances when I was younger. It's true story. It was something that I wasn't accustomed to. And when you think about it in the day, if you didn't clear your crease, you know what a bloodbath it was in that area. I mean, guys just made their living in there. And if you didn't get anything back, you got eaten alive, and that was part of the problem. That was the problem when I was young.
I bet you were one of those floppers, weren't you? You could make an acrobatic save once in a while, but the rest of the time, it's like beach ball in the ocean type guy.
No, I had the very strange stuff. I loved the Palmatier stuff, loved it, but I had a very weird.
Here's your 5 holes always open though, always.
Always. I dared everybody. Massive, like a back catcher. I'm going.
And guys like Phil could take advantage of that situation. Just pinpoint accuracy by Phil Gray.
You know what? Guys like you, what I do, I'd have the huge 5-hole, and then I'd throw my goalie stick away. Go ahead, try it. Go ahead. There it is.
Right.
And then
I was the Ron Hextall of forwards. Have you seen his highlight? Have you seen his highlight reel? It's fantastic. Somebody put it on Twitter a while. It's so.
Oh, good. I know they are good. Well, I still remember when my friend played for the Belleville Bobcats, and they played Streetsville, and that game looked like a scene from Braveheart. There were sticks everywhere.
We had bench clearing brawls and novice in Streetsville. Are you kidding? I'm not kidding. I got hit from behind. My dad just said, "Suck it up," and hit him back. And I was 8 years old, and I never turned back.
Phil, let's talk UFC 250. What are we looking at right now? Is this going to compete with some of the UFC cards that we've seen the last number of weeks? This is a big one as far as Canada participation is concerned.
Yeah.
What are you seeing so far as we're on the eve of the big night?
Our girl Felicia Spencer says she's going to shock the world. This should be a really good fight. Actually, she's something. But I mean, watching Amanda Nunes wow, what a superior fighter she is. Right now, dead even action on that. I'm seeing a lot of money on Felicia right now at 3.5 to 1, as I would have expected, as being our Canadian girl. And the rest of the fights, it's kind of mirroring last week, where I'm really not seeing any dog action at all. I mean, the odd fight here and there, but everybody's loading up on the faves. So, if they hit those in the parlays, if that didn't increase price, I'm going to take a hit.
So Nunez has both the featherweight and the bantamweight titles, 19-4. I mean, she's a
She's
beast,
vicious
right?
to watch.
Yeah, it is. But I'm watching it. I'm because our Canadian girl a couple of weeks ago did not do well. That was a little painful to watch. But as you said beforehand, and in Canada, we like our UFC. We like this. This should be pretty busy for you.
You know, I even pre all this mess. Saturday night MMA cards, you know, with marquee cards, I'm taking more than I would on the entire night in NHL and NBA combined, when you include the in-play betting with MMA. So that tells you how big it is. And we've got, you know, some specials up, a lot of specials up for this weekend. You know, we've reintroduced the fight of the night, quickest to finish, total knockouts, total submissions. So there's some great bets there and some great limits, make it a lot of fun for everybody. Tons of props up for this. It's you know, it's going to be a huge night for us.
The other thing that I've watched, of course, is the Bundesliga, because it's starting to play more or less how their season does actually look. I haven't seen a ton of surprises, and the league kind of plays that way, but they've gone without a hitch. And I'm just curious: are you seeing now that you've got I think the Premiership coming up on the 17th? I understand.
Yeah.
And La Liga, so Spain is going to get off.
Portugal is back as well.
Portugal's back. That's right. FC Porto, you stunk the other day, which was awesome. And then do we see the French or Serie A? Do we know about them?
No, the French had canceled their season last month, I believe. And Serie A, no, they have not made a decision, but I don't see anything coming out of them. I think as well that they're going to cancel their season. We'll see an announcement soon. Actually, I think we might have. I've got so much coming up. I mean, Belarus is back, Lithuania is back, Poland's back, Hungary is back, Costa Rica, your favorite, Turkmenistan, Asia there. The Faroe Islands. I'm offering live betting on soccer in the Faroe Islands.
Wow, that is bold. That is very, you know, and that's.
Sorry, go on, Mike.
That's where guys like us right now talking in the Faroe Islands, we're on the team.
Yeah.
We are on the team.
I was a goalie in soccer. I could play in the Faroe.
I could see that. No, you got a soccer goalie look.
Yeah.
Well, you got the height, right?
I got a big scar right here too. Once I dove and I hit the post, right? You know, the net.
So you were good at this sport too.
Those little metal things that come out that hold the net, it went right into my head. You wonder why I drink, right?
Yeah, we wonder. What else is going on this weekend as far as I know NASCAR is on Sunday. Are you going to tell us a story how you used to be in NASCAR too, or is that Go ahead.
But you know what? I mean, I was up all night because I had a question for you guys. And you know, I've done my research. You know, I want to get to your observations on that and your answers. Is the pandemic over?
No.
Right.
No.
And in German, for your German listeners, ist die Pandemie über? Right? Because I know you have a lot of German listeners.
A massive German audience, yes.
Yeah.
So that's your answer, Mike? No.
Segment.
That's it. It's no.
9.
9.
9.
My answer was I don't know.
Yeah. I certainly I can't, you know, there would be you know, even with the CDC or of course the now much hated WHO for whatever reason, there was nothing that would tell me, because I mean you see some of these countries, they're just flaring up now. It's just kind of going to town now. Here in North America, well, yesterday I think in Ontario, didn't they have like 183 or something, which was one of the lower ones? We just talked to our buddy out in Nova Scotia, where they're now down to zeros. They've had some zeros out west. I think Manitoba has been zero for quite some time now.
Yeah, at least a couple of weeks.
But I find here in the conversation, the general population, to go out and about and around, and everybody is, you know, it's not even part of the discussion. Sometimes, you know, everybody's just going about their business. With the announcement of the NHL, we have some great props coming up for the NHL. You're asking what's coming up. I mean, nobody has an NHL coverage like we have right now. You know, we got goal scorers for top goal scorer for each series, top point getter matchups. All the series prices are up, so really looking forward to the NHL coming back.
Now, what about those numbers? How are you finding in terms of trying to find correct numbers on this, what I'm calling the summer hub tournament? How do you, I mean, you know, when it's regular season, when you go in the playoffs, I mean, you have so much data, information, feedback. But when you go to something like this, it's almost like the start of the season. So was it difficult coming up with those numbers?
Those are Vegas numbers, actually, you know, and they come from the Brain Trust in Vegas, and they get released early, and then we see some professional bettors, as they like to call them in Vegas, come in and hit the early line, and it's following suite to you pretty much the way sports betting works, and then you move on action. I mean, obviously, you know, as a Canadian book, we're going to see more money on the Canadian teams, and you know, so it's really you wait for that first line to come out, they bet into it, it moves, and then if you're, you know, a book that balances to action like I do, to my own liability, then I'll go off the line and stray from there. Some books will, you know, are willing to take a position and say, well, you know, there's no way the Columbus Blue Jackets can beat the Toronto Maple Leafs, so they will, you know, let that liability build, you know, if somebody's hitting Columbus. Whereas, you know, I don't work like that. I balance my book and just try and get away with a small profit.
Outside of a lot of money coming in on the Toronto Maple Leafs because it just, you know, like the sun rising, it just does happen. What else is happening with those NHL futures as far as those qualifying rounds are concerned?
Not surprisingly, a lot of money on Montreal right now to take out Pittsburgh, and you know, couldn't they? Right? Right? Could they not? If Carey Price has a big series, absolutely.
Yep.
Edmonton. I was kind of hoping for the NHL season to be canceled because I have a absolutely massive liability on the Edmonton Oilers to win the Stanley Cup, which has built since the end of last season. You know, it's one of those close the doors and turn out the lights if Edmonton wins the Stanley Cup.
Yikes.
For a lot of reasons. Now, here's the thing too, though. The NBA, right? They look like they're actually on this thing. They've got their schedule out. They've got, you know, what when to do. So I'd imagine that, you know, if we talk about all these things combined, and now I'm talking about the industry that you're in as a whole, is this the first time where you kind of see, at least to yourself, because I know it's not that you're a pessimist. I think you're a realist is the way that I'd put it. But are you feeling like there's a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel with your industry?
Well, certainly. I always thought there was some sort of light, but I still go back to my argument. Okay, I mean, you've got all these deals in place. It's great, you know, plans and everything. Now, when it comes down to actually being able to implement them, taking, you know, 500, 600, 700 people from, you know, different organizations in your league and the media and dropping them into, you know, a cocoon, a hub somewhere, whatever. I mean, let's see how that goes before we, you know, light the candles and say, oh, great, you know, season's on and we're playing again. I mean, it's going to be quite the task to do. So, you know, looks good. I mean, you know.
Now, when you do have those discussions with those, like literally around the world, and I know that you do, has there been anything that has jumped out at you, like maybe something you didn't think would start might get a shot at it? Maybe something that you didn't believe was going to happen might. Is there anything in that category for you?
Not as yet. I'm quite concerned about MLB, looking more dire every day, reading the numbers, you know, how far apart they are. And, you know, now the owners want to come back with, they're saying maybe less than a 50-game season. You know, even Mike Trout's going to show up for that. I don't know. I mean, I kind of think that they're done.
Yep. MLB looks, and Dave, you talked about this a while ago, those two sides are just so far apart. It's a chasm.
And I think you guys said it last week, the fan backlash. I think they're underestimating the fan backlash there if they do cancel the season.
Yeah. And just the two unions themselves, maybe the worst in sports. Hey, before we go here, Phil, Premiership 17th of June. Are you starting to see some futures come in on Premiership as they're less than 2 weeks away?
I think Man City almost has it locked up, do they not? Yeah. So we see some. That's one of the tougher soccer leagues. As you know, it's the biggest that we take. We see very little dog action in the Premiership. We see a lot of parlays on the faves, and when those come in on a certain day, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 faves hit in a parlay, we get beat up pretty good.
Well, as I said, it is slowly opening. There are some leagues that the Bundesliga will be in full swing this weekend. Did Belarus ever stop, by the way? I mean, I know it's on there.
They stopped nothing. Right?
No.
I want to live in Belarus. He said, just drink vodka.
That's what he said.
I do that anyways.
He said, we drink vodka and we ride on tractors. Well,
It's working for me here. I'm not sick yet.
if the World Health Organization had known that was the thing, we could have stopped this a long time ago.
If they had said rye, it would be even better for you, right?
That's right. Well, hey, I'm fine. Nothing happening with me over here.
A little bit of ginger for color, and you're fine.
That's it. That's the color of the weekend. Let me tell you that. That's what's going on here. I'll be mowing the lawn happy. That's what's going on. Hey, Phil, you take care. Always great to see you, buddy. And we'll talk to you again next week.
Fantastic, guys. Have a great weekend.
That is Phil Gray from Sports Interact.